we go. Little message for us all. This is the 12th one. Thanks for sticking with us. We're going to have a break for a little while, maybe do some more. I always try to explain these workshops that we do because I've been doing them for a while, and something which I've been doing for the past couple of years, I've been doing them with Paul as well, and Steve, who sometimes turns up, but he's not here at the moment, Steve. And what it is that anybody can do these workshops. Paul and I were speaking before the meeting that we actually get asked to go and do quite a few conventions. And we don't get asked to do the conventions because we're special. It's just that not many other people are doing the workshops. And it's very, very easy. So you only need 2 addicts to sit together with a book and ask each other questions, because I'll do a little 5-minute skit, 3-minute skit before we jump right into it here. One of the things I've asked Joe to look up is the word negative. We'll get to that in a second. But one of the things which comes from the Living Clean book, it says that we often recognize that we have negative thinking. So the way this workshop hopefully will roll today, because it is impromptu and I do get distracted, we'll start off with some negative stuff. And Louis last month pointed out that what happens to us, and this is why this group's a bit different, in our thinking where we're obsessive, we can obsess about the negative shit. Like, I don't like that secretary, I don't like that meeting, you know, they don't even have proper tea bags, come on, and all that kind of stuff. It's easy for us to focus in and start giving each other a kicking, you know, and it's, so what we're trying to do is, this is real life. We're trying to point out some of the stuff from our old life, what we liked, which we don't have anymore, some of the stuff which we don't like, and then we move over to the part of the workshop of some of the new stuff that maybe we don't like and some of the new stuff that we like. And that way we've gone from a negative sense of self to the end of the workshop, and hopefully we're on a high. And that's, if you master that or understand that at all, you can get a job in Malibu in one of the treatment centers and earn yourself about $4 grand a week, you know. So, and that's it basically. And I'm talking from experience. I didn't work in Malibu. I'm talking from experience. So if we start off with that negative, Joe, would you mind unmuting yourself and telling us what you find in the dictionary?
Thanks, Matt. Hi, I'm Jo, I'm an addict. So negative, the first meaning is consistent in or characterised by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features. And then it goes on to say, not desirable or optimistic, lacking positive qualities.
Wow. I'm sure we all know people like that. The reason we reflect over to the dictionary, sometimes the dictionaries are different, but the reason we go over to the dictionary is because sometimes our understanding of certain things has been distorted, certain words have been distorted by our peers, our family, our teachers, and just in general, it can be the community. So sometimes negative can seem different ways, but whatever way you look at it, we all know somebody who's negative. We all know someone who's, especially if you're been a using addict like me and hung around using addicts, we always know some negative fucker. You know, we always know someone who's like that. You know, the gear's no good, or they haven't got any, or they're gonna run out, or something like that. So could we start off, as Paul pointed out, if we have about 2 minutes per person maximum, could we start off with something that you miss from your old life before you started coming to NA and changing?
Can that include drugs?
Paul, would you please reiterate that, because my internet's quite bad?
Yeah, I'm saying drugs. Can we talk about drugs? I'm kind of joking. I'm doing
Is it allowed? Are we allowed to talk about drugs in NA?
Are we allowed to talk about drugs in any? Are we allowed to swear in any meetings? That's what I want to know. I don't want to offend anyone. Right. So I think, are we looking for examples of things that we miss from our, are we talking active addiction, aren't we? So anything that,
Yeah.
Okay. So
Before
Frankie,
we got clean and got a program.
Frankie and I were talking around this the other day, and it was like, you know, nostalgia. I think the Greek translation for nostalgia is the ache from an old wound or something of the sort. Is there anything that we maybe pine from our previous lives when we're in a negative space? And maybe 3 or 4 hands up, just some quick examples. There might be something good that you miss that you can't do anymore. Not endorsing while
I miss lying. I really like lying to people. I like telling lies. I really miss it.
Andy, good to see you back. Right, let's
You know what I miss? I miss thieving.
Yeah.
I miss going in shops and thieving, man. Filling my pockets, not paying for it. I miss the thrill of the chase, getting copper, you know, to weigh in for scrap, that rubbing your hands together. Oh, how much we're going to get? I miss that excitement. There's a little buzz involved. And I'm in early recovery and I have shoplifted, you know, and there's a little buzz involved. I talked to my sponsor about it. I've managed to abstain for a while, but yeah, it's a powerful pull. It's a powerful pull. So, yeah, and then also, if you want other examples, I miss the chaos sometimes, but I've managed to steer clear of chaos. You know, I've managed to steer well clear of chaos. I remember being in early recovery a few years previous, and I would kind of hang around in some grotty areas of the city or a grotty, you know, in the town, just wanting to be on the outside looking in. Do you know what I mean? Just to be on the outskirts of chaos, not quite in amongst it, but just, you know, it had another appealing thing to it. Strange. They're negatives, I'm sure. They're not good for my spirit. So they're negatives.
That's really good. I really identify with that. And I remember
just to butt in.
Yeah.
Just to butt in, Paul.
Yeah.
I think I'm frozen.
No, you're there.
Okay, just to butt in. Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing that, because one of the most important things is it takes courage, and to point out that you share this stuff with your sponsor, because a lot of people don't believe that we should actually share this stuff, which it's important that we get to that root honesty, you know, the exact nature. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Brilliant. Thanks, Frankie. Sophie, please come in.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, I do miss the fact that I can't get away with being dishonest. And it's like, even when I potentially try and be dishonest now, my conscience gets the better of me. I miss being able to stay up for days on end. I literally can't function now without about 9 hours sleep. I mean, I know the only reason I could stay up for days on end was because it was drug fueled, but I miss not having to take responsibility for anything. Yeah, my life is full of responsibility, and sometimes I just think, God, it would be nice to get off this bus just for a day or so. And I don't know whether it was agreed, but I'm just going to say it. I miss a really good couch. Just going to say that. I wouldn't want it back, but I did love a couch. And I'll leave it there.
Oh God, identify. Wow, I hadn't thought of that. Andy, I think I'm doing it in order. You're on my screen. Yeah, Andy, please go ahead.
Andy, I'm an addict. I don't know what a couch is, so somebody's going to have to say what that is. Maybe it's not an American thing. I don't know. Or maybe it's just I don't know. But anyway,
Gouching, Andy, is when you take lots of downers and you just like, I don't want to use the word bliss, but you're kind of blissed out on the, yeah, wherever. Anyway,
I miss not having guilt.
Maybe Joe can look up gouch in the dictionary. I'm pretty sure it's not there. But
I miss not having guilt. If I do something today, I feel the guilt. I feel the remorse. I need to make it right. I tried to tell this lady the other day at the gas station, she gave me too much change. And she's like, no, you overpaid and this and that. And I was like, and I tried to give her money back, but it turns out she still gave me $5 too much. But to just that, you know, I'm in an awful marriage, but I can't cheat because I don't want to feel the guilt and the shame anymore. I have to do it right and separate and leave in May, you know. I miss just being able to do whatever I wanted and not having a conscience. So.
Thank you, Andy. Great to hear from you. And Louis?
Yeah, my name is Louis. I'm an addict. I was thinking, funny enough, I was thinking, oh, I don't miss lots of stuff from using, but I made an effort. And what I think I'm really missing sometime is those 5-10 minutes that it took me to go to my dealer. And in those 5-10 minutes, after a long period of desperation, struggle, whether I go or not, and you know, what am I gonna take? Then those 5-10 minutes on the way to the dealer was kind of the best moment of my using time. It was this fantasy that this time it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome, amazing, you know, this hope, almost a sense of gratitude. This is what I miss sometimes, and I find it elsewhere, but I keep it for the positive side of the meeting at the end.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to take Mary, Saul, and a quickie from Simon, and then move on because I think Frankie's got something else lined up. Mary, please come in. You there, Mary? Okay, Saul, you're up.
Hey guys, I'm Saul.
Hi, Saul. Yeah, we're having a few issues tonight, guys. So just bear with us. So Simon, that was quick. We got straight to you. That's
Hello, everybody. I'm Simon. I'm an addict.
Hi, Simon.
I think that the thing I miss the most is to not be. I'm not now today that I'm clean. I'm not doing whatever I want. You know, I have a responsibility, and I have a girlfriend. I have responsibility at work. I have my family, and before while I was using, I can just forget all of this and do whatever I want and be free. I thought that I was free when I was into drugs, and I was completely wrong actually, but it was kind of a freedom to do whatever I want. And now that I'm in recovery and stopping using drugs, sometimes I don't do whatever I want. I do what's best for me, but it's not always what I want. So I think that's a bit what I miss the most, is this kind of freedom that I could have before. And of course, the things like also miss to go to party and things like this. More and more times goes, and I don't feel like I so much want to party anymore. But of course, I also miss this craziness of the party life and nightlife that I used to have. Yeah, that's all for me.
Thanks, Simon. And if we don't learn anything else tonight, we'll learn that gouch is in the dictionary. Thank you for that, Joe. Who knew? Frankie.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, and Joe's been putting them up in the comments. Gouch, to be mentally impaired either naturally or by substance, to be obvious of the obvious. For me, it was always the bit between being awake and asleep before I burnt something. Yeah, that's totally thrown me. I just sent it to you, then I pulled the next one. Oh, can we have 3 people 2 minutes who could tell us their revelation of when they discovered, it doesn't matter whether you were using or whether you were clean, when you first discovered that you were self-centered, because all addicts are self-centered, yeah? So for me, it was revelation. You know, I had it pointed out to me that I was talking about myself all the time. I was self-obsessed. And there was an Usman share I listened to, which said that I needed to think about myself less, you know, and not be selfless. So that twisted my mind out. But yeah, any examples besides Lee, as Lee, I mean, sorry?
It's the C.S. Lewis thing he always uses, not to endorse the line, "The Witch in the Wardrobe." Don't think less of yourself, think of yourself less, isn't it? It's a good one.
Thank you, Paul. I didn't know it was
That's the
from
one.
Nirvana or Nirvana, wherever it was.
Yeah.
The wardrobe.
Narnia, isn't it? Yeah. Lee,
NA, yeah.
That's good. Lee, please come in.
It was when I read the pamphlet, the triangle of self-obsession, the triangle of self-obsession. I read that, and it was just, that was me, just there, right down, all word by word. And you know, I looked at my life, I read the words, I looked at my life, and I was like, that is me right there. If anyone in the room has not read the Triangle of Self-Obsession, highly recommend it. But I think it's like an orange or yellow pamphlet. You get it in any meeting face to face. It's powerful. You just, you know, it just described me to a T, and I couldn't deny it anymore. Yeah, so that was the revelation for me.
Fantastic, Lee. Thank you for directing us to the literature. I'll have another look at that one later. Suzanne, we were hanging out in a meeting last night, wasn't there? And there was someone who was just, no matter what anyone said, they were just directing the conversation back onto them. I don't know if you noticed. Anyway, please give us your...
I did notice. Yeah. Pain in the arse. Total pain in the arse. Ferret up. Do you know what? It was a revelation to me when I relapsed, and I hurt people like who I've met online on the online platforms, like, and connections I've made here. I'd no clue that they were so hurt and devastated that I'd relapsed, and oblivious to it really, and just kind of coming back and realizing how many people I'd affected. That was a revelation to me, because I didn't think people cared. And it's like no one's feeling my pain or whatever it was. But I was so locked in what I was doing. I just didn't really have a clue that I'd affected people. I could understand people close to me, like, you know, like my wife or whatever, for example, but not people I've met online. You know, that was a revelation. I mean, even today, talking to someone, a couple of people, they were like, 95 days ago, Suzanne, I looked at you and I just thought that girl's going to die, you know. And it's kind of, I'm like, really? Did you think that? And what did everyone? And someone else was saying, we were really worried. Loads of us were really worried that you were going to die. And I was oblivious to that, really. So, that's a revelation. And
Thanks, Suzanne. Am I unmuted? I can't see. I'm looking up. If I am, I'm looking up self-centeredness, which says concerned solely with one's own desires, needs, or interests. Okay, Arniel, please come in. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah. Hi. This is my second relapse also, joining the NA, and then that night I have it's like a flashback of what I have done in the past, and that's for me. I did not realize how I became with the drug addiction. I became a different person. I became bad. I lied. I became like someone that I am not. I become the best. I lost contact with the world. And now I think realize, with that flashback, I realize what I have done. And to believe it or not, that flashback, I watched it all from the beginning to the end. And I know it was painful, but I used that pain for me to finally realize that I need to change, and I need to realize that it's now I don't care anything else, but now the most important thing is my recovery. And that's, for me, this is different. Maybe I will not say more, but I will recover from this, and I will restore the Arnie that was the good Arnie. And and hopefully it's not too late. I leave it like that.
Arnie, great to hear you, and please get connected. Feel free to stick around at the end of the meeting or send me your number, and we can, let's connect. Jenny, apologies for we got hit with several bombers all at once, so you were, sometimes people are removed by accident when they shouldn't have been, so apologies about that, Jenny. I'm glad you made it back in to the meeting. Joanne, please come in.
Thanks, Paul. I'm Jo, I'm an addict. So I first realised I was self-centered when, it was a few years into my habit. I've got a son, and I used to pride myself on how I looked after my son, but a few years into my habit, my needs were coming before his, and it was everything. It was physical, emotional. It didn't matter what he was needing, I was away using. It just did not matter, and that was a big revelation to me. Didn't stop me, I kept doing it, but I knew then, as soon as I started putting the drugs before my son, yeah. So that was mine. Thank you.
Thanks, Jo, and then we'll go Andy, and then we'll bring Frankie back in.
I don't. All right. I don't know. I haven't had one moment where I've thought that. I haven't had that. It's been a build up over the years, man. It's been lots of little sparks of realizing I've done wrong, and realizing I have only considered myself in many things I've done. So there has not been one moment, and I just wanted to share that because I don't think I'm the only one that's experienced that.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. And I was thinking there, Frankie, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, because it's such a tricky part of the disease, the self-centeredness. It's kind of anonymous to me most of the time. Beyond inventory, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on how we become more aware of it.
Yes, I do. One of the things, I can't remember who I got this off. I think it was a guy who relapsed in Islington, a guy called Scott. He's had quite a few years. What he used to say, and this got backed up by an old sponsor of mine, what he used to say was, when you talk to somebody, allow them to talk and listen to the thoughts in your mind. And what I discovered for myself was I was just waiting for them to stop finishing so I could talk. I wasn't listening. I was that self-centered. I was like hurry up. And I was very good at being the codependent kind of, I'm really paying attention to you. Well, I'm not. I'm locked in. Where the illness is in my mind, I'm locked in, waiting to regurgitate whatever cute sentence I've already got lined up. You hear it with people sometimes with meetings, they come out and they share, but they've already done their share before they got to the meeting. So that's why I like this interactive stuff. And I just want to say it again, if there's people who's already been in and shared, please feel free to come back in. This is interactive, this workshop. Yeah, the trick with recovery is to try and stay in the middle. With NA is to try and stay in the middle. I've tried to be the most service orientated person, and I've tried to be on the outskirts and the center of attention, but for recovery to work for me was to be in the middle and to be a small part of the whole of NA. The question I'd put up next, is this a decent one, Paul? Could we have some people who come in and say about their experience around desperation, about not until in desperation we seek help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous? It says it in every meeting we go to in the readings. Has anyone got any experience around that, and who did they ask for help?
Is this specifically around coming into NA, I suppose? I mean, that gives us a good kind of mental benchmark, doesn't it?
Yeah, after this, I'm going to try and go a bit more positive.
Okay.
As I say, I'm thinking of questions as we go along. So
fantastic. Yes. Okay. Owen, please come in.
Hi, yeah. I just want to say, once I'd relapsed, and then I was sitting in my girlfriend's back garden, and I was just like thinking about every single way that I could kill myself, and I wasn't thinking about coming back to NA or anything like that. I was just like, oh, I just don't even want to be alive anymore, you know what I mean? It was just took me to that place. I was just like, oh, I don't even want to continue living at this point, you know what I mean? And I was just like, didn't know what to do with myself. And I picked up the phone to my sponsor and came back to my first meeting, and that was my day one. After that day, you know, I was absolutely done at that day. I would have rather killed myself than continued using. And I've been just over a year clean from that very day after I made that phone call to him, you know, and just ever since then, it's just been so grateful to not be using, you know, because I was just so close to that point. I just completely given up, like, you know, so I'd say that's my one, like, anyway. Cheers.
Oh, good to see you, Owen. Thanks for sharing that with us. And then we'll get Louis and then Suzanne.
Yeah, I'm Louis, I'm an addict. I have the feeling I had so many experience of desperation in active using, especially at the end. The beginning started as a big circus, very happy, funny, good experience, and then it slowly it became desperate. Like I was using desperation, basically. I thought I was using drugs, but it was just desperation that I was using. And until I wanted, like Owen, to basically kill myself because this desperation was not funny at all. And I remember the first 3 months of my recovery was me hanging on to my desperation, and my thoughts were trying to have me think that maybe I was not an addict. And that helped my desperation to stick around because I hadn't yet made the choice of whether I was an addict or not. And I was so self-centered that I was talking to myself, waiting for myself to finish, to then line up the next thought that was in the other mind. And then coming back to, you know, my addict mind was talking to my recovery mind. And I think after a while, I just thought, you know what, I'm fucked up. I might want to try what they have. And if it works for me, I'll see. And I gave myself 3 months. And after that, I didn't want to die. So I thought, I'm going to try to see if I can go on. And then it became more positive. But the beginning of my recovery was desperation, desperation, desperation. And I needed people not sharing about desperation, but sharing about demonstration to actually feed my spirit with something else than just, I'm going to be able to not use. Great. You know, this was not an objective. This was not a goal in itself for me. I wanted to be happy and alive like I am today. So yeah, that was my experience.
Thank you, Louis. I was just also checking the dictionary, desperados there, because that was something, they were a bunch of desperados. They used to use that a lot to describe me and my mates. So, but it's something about westerns and cowboys. Suzanne, please come in.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm Suzanne, I'm an addict. It's so fresh in my mind that I just this last relapse, really, you know, because there's always a part of Suzanne who was in recovery watching this person, me, butcher myself, really. And my last use up, and I'll be graphic. I was just like, I didn't want to, you know, I'd come out of hospital, they'd operated on me. I've got a foot-long cut in my groin. I'm on blood thinners, really ill. and I'm using again. I said I wasn't going to use needles. Boom, I'm straight away using needles. Like, I mean, within hours. I won't inject in my groin. Tried a couple of other places, can't do it. And I am injecting in that foot-long cut in my groin. And I'm just fucking terrified and horrified. And, you know, because of the blood thinners, it was bloody. And, it, you know, I didn't know whether it was going to kill me or I didn't want to die. And it was fucking horrendous. Sorry for my language, but it's absolutely horrendous. And the first week of being in recovery, I logged on that online 24. I was talking to people, and I can't even really remember. I don't know how I stopped. I really don't know how I stopped. It's not my power that stopped me. I do not know how. And that first week, I was ill. I'd poisoned myself. I kept going back. I was back to A&E twice. I went to the doctors. The doctor said, look, you know, I said, do I need to go to hospitals? No, I don't think, I don't think it's infected. And the next morning it burst and I was back in hospital, you know, and honestly, I just do not know how I'm still alive. And I think I'm still in shock, if I'm really honest. Like, I kind of think...
Sounds like you are, Suzanne.
I think I am.
Sounds like you are a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry if it's a bit too much.
No worries. The program says take it easy, keep it simple. And you've just explained the reason why. You know, we have this thing, we understand that powerless means no power. That's why we always get a bit confused when people think they can stop of their own accord. You've just said it yourself by joining a meeting. It's like, we understand that from step one. If we're powerless, we have no power. We understand in step two that you plus me is a power greater than me. So even if I'm using two addicts together are more powerful than one on their own. And that's step two stuff that we have. So, you know, with that in mind, what I'd like to ask is, as we move forward through this workshop, is let's big someone up. Can we have 3 people who can come along and say about someone who actively actually helped them in recovery, who helped them, you know, 2 addicts together, you know?
Fantastic. And
can you reiterate that, Paul? So I got
yeah.
it correctly.
So I think that's right. You know, I was just thinking as I was kind of being bombarded with messages there, and sometimes I've got to explain this to sponsees. I think there's because we are so self-centered. I think there's some people come to meetings and think that actually any are paying our wages to sponsor or to put meetings on and stuff like that. It's just like, hang on a minute. But in saying that, the gift of giving back and all the valuable stuff that we get from helping, can we have like some really great living examples of people, individuals or examples or situations?
People, please feel free to come back in. Sorry, Paul, didn't mean to talk over you.
Take it away, Andy.
Thanks. There's lots of people, lots and lots, and they're all a lot of them are from this fellowship. A very good friend of mine, I met him in a treatment center 20 odd years ago, and you know, we've clashed, we've rowed. I've upset him over the years and vice versa, and we've still kept in touch. When I got the offer of this treatment center I've just got out of back in September, he drove me up there, you know, took a day off work, drove me up there. Am I going on the right track here? Is this where we're after?
Precisely, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So not only that, in 2006-07, I was in the Walsall area in the West Midlands, connected with a bunch of people in this fellowship there. There was like, I used to be clean, and then I'd kind of go off and clean and go off, and I'd share that I wanted to use, and they would fucking almost, I say it jokingly, they'd kidnap me. They would take me playing snooker till 3 a.m. They would take me, you know, and shit, going out for bacon sandwiches, you know, 2 a.m. and stuff like that, just to get me through the night, not use. And then they'd be on me the next day. I've been to conventions with them. One of those people owns a treatment center, and I reached out to him this year, and he put me in that treatment center for zero money. You know, I was struggling to get help locally from the organisations that are out here to help us. No funding, no this, no that, no la la la. I wasn't ticking the right boxes because I was doing shit on my own, and somebody from NA stepped in and basically saved my fucking life. No two ways about it. Yeah, and there's more. You know, I've known my sponsor for 10 years, and I asked him to sponsor me as I was leaving the treatment center. He said, if I can't, because he ran it by his sponsor, you know, whatever he's got going on, he needs to know that it's okay. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should be done. That's the way he did it. And he said, if I can't, Andy, I'm always there. You know, I'm there for you, like, you know. And there's so many. There's yeah, and yeah, they're all from this fellowship. But there's family that have stuck by me, eh? There's family that have stuck by me because I'm very blessed to have the people in my life I do. Very, very blessed.
Thanks, Andy. I'm just thinking there, Frank, can you imagine over the years, Frankie, the amount of times you've taken calls off of me, just talking absolute madness down the phone? I'm sure you would have loved to have been doing other things like watching the TV or doing something nice, but instead you're listening.
Well, my ex-sponsor was very crass, wasn't he? He used to say to me, what do you think I'd rather be doing, talking to you or sleeping with my wife? You know, so... Yeah. But it brought the point home, you know. Sorry, moving on. Do apologise.
Sophie, please come in.
Yeah, thanks. So Mary P was a huge, she was one of my best friends, but helped me so much. You know, I just think back to the times, especially when we were on holiday in Spain, and like the intimacy that we experienced because we had a really trusting relationship, and it felt really safe, you know, and beautiful, and she's really missed. And I know that there was a tribute to her at the weekend in London because it's her 5-year anniversary on the 10th of December since she took her own life, sadly. So there's her, loads. Suzanne is my sponsee, like, and she helps me every day, and she doesn't realise it. I know she doesn't realise it. But I think there's this, I think the, like, sponsor-sponsee relationship is completely two-way. You know, I always say it's such a privilege. It's an ongoing, continued learning curve, and I don't, you know, it's being a trusted servant, but I get so much from being a sponsor. It's such a privilege when somebody, you know, entrusts you with like information that in some instances they've never shared with another human being. You know, this meeting's helping me. Like it's countless. I'm in my 20th year, and it's like there's not enough hands and toes to count the amount of people that have supported me over the years. You know, I love all of my sponsors. I haven't had loads, but like each and every one of them, you know, I've loved, and I've never had a bad word to say about them because they've given me their time, their experience, their wisdom, real fucking patience when I've got so stuck in denial and addiction that, you know, Jesus, one in particular, like just listened to me for 3 years until the penny dropped, and it was like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to change now. You know, I aspire to that. But yeah, just there's so much. every meeting I go to, and I've done a meeting every day since the lockdown started in March. I've done I'm not on there at the moment, but I've been going to an international platform since the beginning of the pandemic, and I get a golden nugget every single day. There's a message in everything anybody shares if you choose to hear it. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thanks, Sophie. And lovely to see you.
And you.
Paul's just been caught short. That's the polite way of saying he needed to go to the toilet. Lee, it looks like you're up next.
Yeah, thanks, Frankie. Yeah, my wife, definitely. You know, like when I basically spilled my guts and told her what I was up to, you know, she stuck by me. You know, we paid for, well, you know, we paid for rehab, and you know, she had to borrow that money to pay for the rehab. During the in the rehab, there was two ladies, because I went into acute withdrawal because of the Subutex that they gave me, and bless them, two of the ladies there stuck by me, stayed up with me all night, and for every time that I said I can't do it, they must have said you can do it at least 6-7 times to counteract, you know, it's like I just couldn't believe that I could do it. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to run. I wanted to press that bucket button. Like actually, when I got out of rehab, I came into this meeting, and Paul made me feel so welcome. These, you know, this memory is stuck in my head. Paul's face, you know, and you know, family, NA as a whole, really. I mean, all in little ways, you know, and it all sort of builds up to this one thing, like and also yeah, my sponsor, you know, he's halfway across the other side of the world in America, but you know, I can phone him pretty much within reason at any time I want. And you know, he said to me, because I would text him, oh, is it okay to ring you? He said, don't ask, just ring, you know. So he's there for me, and it's kind of crazy, and it's like somebody doesn't want anything from me in return, like, you know, material wise. You know, he just wants me to. He just wants the best for me. He just wants the best for me. You know, that's powerful. That's powerful shit.
Thank you, Lee. Louis, please come in.
Yeah, I'm Louis. I'm an addict. I can really identify with all the things I've heard. I've been shared so many time by people. I've been given access to places. I've been given access to things. But the real thing that I was thinking about is, like I said at the beginning of my recovery, I was really struggling to decide, like, am I an addict? Do I want this program? Do I want to start this new way of life? I was clean already, and someone told me something that really changed. It was like an inception. It turned my mind around, and so this someone told me, look, because I was saying to everyone who wanted to hear me, who had time to hear me, and lots of people had time to hear me, very generous in NA. I was saying, yeah, but I'm not sure, you know, I haven't used this or that, and I've never been to jail, and you know, I'm only 23, and I've had so many reasons to not be an addict. You know, I haven't touched the bottom, basically was my favorite sentence. And someone told me, you know what, the bottom is not when you've actually touched it, is when you stop digging. And this sentence completely changed my perspective. You know, we say, just for today, I will try to have a better perspective on my life. This was the better perspective that I needed to change my life. And I somehow accepted this sentence because it was giving me a responsibility in this mess, and a responsibility that I could accept. You know, I was able to accept that, yes, I can stop digging now. You know, I can climb up the steps because my spiritual elevator is broken, and I'm gonna do it. So that for me was a great gift. Even if it's spiritual in a way, it's the inception I needed to really wake up and have a better life.
Thank you, Louis. And Suzanne.
Sorry, me again.
Don't apologise.
No, it's just, but you know, my sponsor, you know, is kept in contact with me, and just the phone calls and the messages kind of helped pull me back, really. And you know, my current sponsor, I had someone in NA who I've never, well, I've met them once in person. They were advocating for me because I couldn't string a sentence together, and they were trying to get me into a rehab, and they were sort of talking. A few people were talking, writing little, you know, letters to people. I had a drug worker who was a complete wanker, and who I've known him for 20 years, and I couldn't deal with the man. I just couldn't deal with the man. And he's like, you know, you haven't turned up for your appointment. I'm in hospital attached to a machine. And I just couldn't, it was like his ego, his ego had taken over. I don't know what it was, but, you know, I had people in NA advocating for me, and because I was battered, totally battered. And, you know, and like this meeting and joining the group, you know, the groups I'm in. I'm in one home group, I'm in another home group online, and I'm just starting to make proper connections, but it's all NA, and it's just every day, you know, it's like they never had no bed in a rehab for me, you know, in the end. And I couldn't turn up for appointments, you know, 2 or 3 appointments at drug services. I was, like I said, you know, so I kind of made like the online 24 and the meetings I'm going to just my, you know, my rehab, you know, and they've been, you know, especially the online 24, it's been with me everywhere, you know, in hospital, before operation, after operation, you know, it just constant cry my eyes out on there, and people telling me, you can do it, Suzanne, you can do it, just stay there, Sophie, don't leave the hospital, Suzanne, just stay, no, fuck it, I'm going, no, stay, you know, just, yeah, it just helped me, well, it's helped me get where I am now. You know, I just, yeah, I owe, you know, NA my life, I really do. And yeah, sorry, anyway.
Thanks, Suzanne. One of the nice things about going through all that stuff, I went through 10 years of relapsing and attending NA, and I didn't realize the skills that I had when it came to 2003, after 10 years of it, of being able to help other people, similar to like what you say, you know, sitting with people longer, being on the phone for that 1 minute longer, even says it in the book, even going to conventions and being able to get someone a coffee from, you know, when people don't have it, you know, people did it for me for so many years, and I've had the chance to give back in that way, not just sponsorship. See, one of the reasons people don't get into recovery, and this is why I wanted to drop this in after You Plus Me is an addict, you know, is a power greater than me. You Plus Me is a power greater than me. One of the reasons people don't get into recovery is because it actually works. And that's why I wanted to drop it in, because with a lot of people, they just want the absence of pain. They don't want to stop using. They just don't like not having money in the bank account and, you know, being in pain and being, you know, dishonest. That's why first step, it's about honesty. So we was going to move on to the next question, Paul. How do you feel about that? This question, Paul?
This is the what's the favorite recovery book? Any recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's...
What's your favorite recovery book?
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on here, but let's just stick my.
Oh no, we got censorship here. This is not quite synonymous. You're not allowed to say anything.
Let's just say my primary vehicle.
He's going to say an AA book, isn't you? Go on.
No, I wasn't actually. I was going to say my primary vehicle for recovery is the basic text, but I do love.
You got it, Suzanne.
I do love It Works How and Why, and I love all of it. I love all of it, maybe except the new one. Yeah, let's you know, this would be great, you know, if we could hear, you know, what's your favorite any book and why, you know. I mean the reason I like It Works How and Why is because it really is almost poetic in its language, and some of the lines and especially the traditions are just phenomenal, you know, and I can quote some of them from memory, and it makes me sound good when I'm sharing. But some of it really resonates. So let's have a few hands up around what book am I not reading that I should be reading right now?
While we're waiting for the hands to go up, the book that's helped me the most has been the Just for Today. It's not my favorite, but it's the one that's helped me the most.
Okay, with that said, thank you, Frankie. Louis.
Yeah, Louis again. I'm an addict. I just wanted to mention the Spiritual Principle a Day because it's the recent piece of literature that has been written collectively, and I really find it's full of wisdom. It's to the point, it's not complacent, and I read it in English, so I have to say it's really inspiring. This one and the guiding principles, because it helps to understand and see why traditions are here with us now, why they are the ties that bind us. I also like this guiding principles book. But the Spiritual Principle a Day is available now. You can receive a page a day for free on your email address if you want. I just, you know, maybe all of you guys know this already, but it's like a Just for Today, but it's more spiritual principle oriented, and that helped me recently. And I love the Grey Book, by the way. I think the Grey Book is really a treasure of our literature. It's very similar to the basic, and at the same time, it's a treasure. So yeah, that's my experience.
See, when they say honesty has the power to crack an addict wide open, so I was going to say the second edition because it's our first approved. So Louis, thank you for giving me the courage to speak up. I didn't want to be violating. Okay, Andy.
So the Grey Book is the second, is it? Is that what you're saying?
The Grey is the draft.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, no problems. Well, I was going to say that Just for Today, and then Frankie mentioned it. This look at this thing. It's been around a while. I've had it a while. It's all thumbed, and it's probably the one I've referred to the most. The basic text is the basic text. I'm working out the basic text with my sponsor. He has his own political views around the literature, and I abstain from his views. Do you know? So I have to be quite staunch about that. I also know a great deal. Well, I say a great deal. I know a lot. I've read a lot of a book from our mothership fellowship. You know. So yeah, but right now it is this Just for Today book because I read daily the Just for Today. I read it on a group that my sponsor got set up going on, you know, not a Zoom group, but another what do you call them, another flipping format, you know, virtual tool, and I read daily on there. So it's a good reflective thing for me. The Spiritual Principle one I haven't actually opened or anything. I'll tell you what I did like, and this is completely off topic, the disease of addiction card that you read. I've only seen that recently on this meeting and maybe one other meeting. The disease of addiction card. I've never seen that before. So anyway, yeah, that's yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Just for today, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That step working guide, by the way, the disease of addiction from step 1. So talk about, you'll find it in there. Lee.
Yeah, the old green and gold.
Can I
man.
just,
Oh,
Lee, can I make a request?
yeah, go for it.
Can you get a little bit closer to the microphone?
Is
Because
it
we can
really
hear you,
quiet?
but you sound like you're at the bottom of the tunnel.
Can you hear me a bit better now? Is it a bit better?
That's working for me.
Do you want to let someone else? Do you want to?
No, that's good, Lee.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, the green and gold. The green and gold. I really like that book. I got a little quote here from it the other day that I sent to my sponsor, and it's just a little line. It just really perked me up, you know. The quintessential spirit that lies in each one of us, that spark of life that was almost extinguished by our disease, has been renewed through working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. It is on the path paved with these steps that our future journey begins. And it's just little lines like that that just, I don't know, really get me in the mood for a bit of recovery, you know? But yeah, that green and gold, man. Good shit.
Nicely, good shit, yeah. And Sophie.
Hiya.
Hey.
So green and gold step working guide. I love. The questions still now blow me away. And every time you work the steps, it just gets another bit of your, you know, the disease. Just it reveals. The manifestation of your disease, however it might be manifesting, you know, at whatever point in your recovery you might be. Just for today, I've still got the first just for today that I was given at 1 year's clean by Andy J in London. And, you know, again, another friend today that's still here from when I first came around. I do still love a book. I know we got all this Kindle online stuff, which I do use, but I love a book. And I read my Just for Today every day. I love the new SPAD. I've been trying to order a paper version and I can't get one anywhere. So yeah, I reckon they're my favourites at the moment. Thanks.
I think thanks, Sophie. I think Joe was going to tell us about the line numbered basic text. Were you, Joe? No, definitely not.
I am Joe, I'm an addict. Do you know, it is the basic text for me, but absolutely the line numbered one. You know, I like doing it line by line. I got a lot out of it when we each read it together, you know, but absolutely basic text number one for me. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Fantastic. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Paul. I'm a fan of the Spiritual Principle a Day. At the moment, it's just a new book for me to argue with. So, yeah, the next question I put up was for, in what way has Zoom meetings helped? Because don't forget, we've got Zoom babies now. We've got some people I've spoken to at this who attend this meeting who come to Zoom and then gone back to the face-to-face meetings and decided it's not for them and come back to Zoom. So, yeah, 3 hands straight away. Brilliant.
See, in the Zoom thing, this meeting, which was started as on a Monday evening as an IP17 for those in treatment, which was really probably, we used to get like a dozen treatment centers come, and I've got a video of it, and it was the most powerful thing, and it just shows us kind of, in terms of formats, I think what we can do and how creative we can be with our recoveries. And I've got a video, and it's a speaker in New York sharing at a meeting out.
Paul, are you there? I think we lost you.
I think Paul just got abducted. Okay. Well, on that note, Sophie, can you come back in, please? Let me just unmute you.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say, Frankie, you did make me laugh when you said it's just another piece of literature that you can argue with. That's just so you. I was like, some things don't change.
Thank you.
So online has just been really transformative for me. I worked frontline all through the pandemic, and I was at the Nightingale in the first lockdown, and the online platform enabled me to access meetings, you know, when we were in the thick of it. You know, whilst I was still going out to work, there would be a period of time when because I do 4 days on, 3 off, when we'd have to abide by the lockdown rules. And actually, it was a massive trigger for me because it reminded me of being in prison. And I abided by them, but it really did. And what it did is it really it made me reevaluate my recovery in a really positive way, because I wasn't doing daily calls to newcomers. I think it's good that we check ourselves, because like I do 3 meetings a week, and I was doing all of the suggestions, but there was a complacency. So, you know, it really actually reinvigorated my recovery. And I've connected with some beautiful people from all over the world who I've met once the restriction, well, I've met some of them, once the restrictions were lifted. I'm friends with people from all over, you know, who are placed in different countries, all because of online meetings. Like this one, you know, it's like, so I'm probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna. I don't get, it's a personal choice, personal preference, I acknowledge that, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to be an adult. But online meetings have saved my life. They've improved my mental health. They've kept me connected, in the same way that NA has continued to save my life on a daily basis since I joined in 2003. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thanks, Sophie. Sorry about that. My internet crashed. Louis.
Yeah, Louis, I'm an addict. So how Zoom meeting helped me? I wanted to say first, it's not Zoom meeting that helped me, it's NA meeting that helped me. Zoom is just the platform, and I'm grateful we have this platform, but it's still an NA meeting. Because where I am, I started my recovery in an area, then moved to another country in Berlin. Then I came back to this area for studies, and when I came back, I realized I had grown in Berlin, and I had discovered some English-speaking fellowship and some amazing speakers, and it really fed my spiritual awakening. And when I came back to where I was in the first place, I was very disappointed to see that basically nothing had changed, and I was in meetings like guarded by retired recovering addicts, I like to say. And they're not bad people, they're just not willing to change, you know, they like that they could stop using and that they can stay clean, and that's it. They don't want a new way of life, part of our message. And I did my best, talked to my sponsor, he said, take some service and get committed. And I got committed and I did everything. But somehow he was like, trying to play football with a team of people that are interested in basketball. They just don't want to play with the same ball with the same leg. They don't want to use their legs, they want to use their arms. It's okay. And when when the pandemic hit, it led me to be able to visit Berlin in a much more easier way, because my friends in Berlin were online now. And there I met Paul, and I visited some meetings in Aberdeen. And then I was like, wow, this is the message I want to hear. And it refreshed completely my recovery. It really connected me with what is this spiritual solution that we are sharing in meetings. It's not physical. It's not about giving a hug, having a hug. And I discovered that by going to online meetings, because I felt so much better when I had been fed by a good, clear, pure NA labeled message than when I went to a good, pure, local NA meeting where I heard everyone talk about themselves, but never about NA. So for me, Zoom really saved my hope that I could continue attend meeting, because I had been clean for a while throughout that time. You know, I'm 10 years clean now. It's a dream. You did that. I mean, we did that together. But honestly, I wanted to leave NA, and when the pandemic hit, I was somehow, you know, sent a message. No, stay. Don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. And I stayed, and I heard messages that keep me fresh today, thanks to the online platform and NA. So I'm really, really grateful for that. Thanks.
Fantastic, Louis. Thank you for that. So we're going to go Abby and then Joe and then into the final question, I would imagine. Hi, Abby.
Hi, everybody. My name's Abby. I'm an addict. Zoom has enhanced my recovery. I have really bad anxiety, and COVID made it even worse. And I was really scared to go out, and being on Zoom and completely changed my life. I met people from all over the world. I met people that had so much clean time. I've never met people with that much clean time in my life. I'm talking about 39 years, 35 years, 40 years. It was so amazing to meet people with such quality clean time and such wisdom. It made me do step work. It made me chase my recovery. It made me get involved with service. It made me stay committed to service. It made me just seek the joy and just seek the freedom that I know is here in NA. And NA Zoom has really changed my life. I get so scared to go to a personal meeting. I'm so fearful to go to a personal meeting yet. I'm just not ready yet. So I know I have this platform to really be happy and really find a safe place. That's all I got.
Thanks, Abby. And Anne-Marie, I really want to hear from you on this, because you've been in treatment online in NA for 16 months or something, however long it's been, 3 years. So please come in after Joe. Joe, you can just unmute. I think you're a co-host, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm Joe, I'm an addict. So for me, in early recovery, in my area, we only have one meeting a day, and I needed more than that. You know, I needed to be in meetings all the time. You know, I was too feared not to be, and I think because we are such a small area, the shares get really repetitive, you know, and when I first came back, it was, you know, I'd really enjoy the shares, but as I've grown, you know, I need to hear more. I need to hear more of a message, as bad as that sounds, maybe that, I don't know. Yeah, I just know I need to hear, like what Louis was saying, you know, I can tune in any country in the world and just hear somebody with so much experience, or hear somebody that's just got a simple message, you know, not somebody that's trying to, you know, quote literature all the time. I've got literature, I can read it myself, you know, that kind of drives me nuts a wee bit. So as much as I can jump into Edinburgh and Glasgow, even there's just a meeting a day though, you know, and the first 6 months I had to be in meetings constantly, and that's where Zoom came in, you know, and I met all you wonderful people. I love Zoom, I really do. I still do one live meeting a day and one Zoom meeting a day, because it's just where I need to be. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. And Anne-Marie.
Hi, Paul. Thanks. I'm Anne-Marie. I'm an addict. It's a question on Zoom. Zoom probably saved my life. I was supposed to go to Australia the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, and all fell through and the meetings had all shut down, and it ended up I learned through it wasn't Zoom, it was some other thing. In fact, I'd been in addiction so long and my phone was that long, it wouldn't download Zoom or anything fancy. I had to go to some shop and get rid of my phone and get a new phone and get put in Zoom. And then through Zoom, I heard about a rehab in Greenock. I went into the rehab in Greenock and through Zoom as well, because we couldn't get to meetings in the rehab because of the pandemic. So we stuck to your meetings every night, Paul. It was the East Coast. And then I left Jericho House last year, and the only meetings that were on, usually they're meeting on every single day. And I felt I got to know you more than what I've been going to meetings for like 24 years. And I probably know some people in this group better than what I know people that have been going to meetings for 24 years for. So and then at this point as well, like the pandemic seemingly have lifted. I've just spent another 10 months in rehab, discovered I had cancer. Like it's got put out, I've been through chemotherapy. I didn't even feel comfortable in rehab, but I'm back out now, and thank God for Zoom, because I'm back in Zoom now through the chemotherapy, maybe not through COVID, but for whatever reason, Zoom's always popped up my life. And if it wasn't for Zoom now, like going through chemotherapy, for people that don't know, it knocks fuck out your immune system. So I'm better in my flat at the moment now doing Zoom meetings, as much as I love the live meetings, but I can certainly say Zoom's been a miracle for me, without a doubt. That's my opinion on Zoom.
Brilliant, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Over to you, Frankie.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Yeah, thank you, Paul. I tell you what I did once. I got a big television in my front room and I linked my phone to it while I was on Zoom. And it was just insane having everyone on the screen. It was just, that's a little bit too much. No, in the literature, it says asking questions during the meeting can help. I just wanted to put that out there because it's something which doesn't happen very often. So yeah, it's always a good way to have a bit of fun. Think of a question to ask. In our last 5-7 minutes or so, any questions anyone wants to ask? Because this is the last workshop. We might do some next year.
It was a revelation, you know, like stuff pops up in the literature where you think it's not supposed to be, and it was step 8 that asking a question during a meeting can give us the benefit of group conscience. And if what we're doing here is group conscience recovery, then it's like that bit at the end of question time where we ask the funny question, isn't it? So Louis, yeah. do you have one?
Yeah, I have one question for you guys. It would help me to have your answer on that, because I'm kind of struggling to have a sustained relationship with my sponsor that is a good guy that I love, that I need, that I would really, you know, invite more in my life, but somehow, I don't know, I struggle. So my question is, how do you maintain a good relationship with your sponsor?
Has MD got any?
Question.
It's a great question, Frankie.
16 years I've been with my sponsor, and I've just separated from my sponsor after 16 years. How that worked, because our personalities were different, for me was just discipline and routine. Phone on a regular basis. Always check that he's going to be free. Phone when I'm static. Never phone when I'm in a car or on a bus. Always so the reception's good. Give the man the dignity that he deserves, and I expect it back. And I have to pass that on as well. But that's my main ones, Louis. And that's, you know, is make sure the communication's very clear and you have permission.
Thanks, Frankie. Has anyone else got a great working relationship with their sponsor due to routine or anything else that keeps it great? Abby?
I know for me, the biggest communication thing is that being there for them as much as they are for you. Sponsorship is a two-way street, and notice when they're off. Notice when they're having a bad day. Notice when they're not in the mood or they can't be available. It's a two-way street. It's a relationship, not only a sponsorship. It forms into a relationship and sometimes can become a friendship. So if you acknowledge their feelings as much as they acknowledge yours, it can become something fluid that won't break away. I've been with my sponsor for a while. She's the best thing that ever happened to my life, and I couldn't picture her without it. So just pay attention to emotions and feelings. And this is not me being a woman, it's just me being a sponsee. Pay attention to feelings. And I know guys don't really have that feelings thing, but in NA we grow them. And I hope gentlemen do have feelings too. Share them with your sponsor.
Yeah, we've just got swinging bricks here, Abby. You don't have no
Yeah.
heart.
Ooh la la.
Imagine if one of us guys had said that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, enough from you, Abby. So anyone, any more questions or any more? I mean, for me on the sponsor thing, it was like great when I had like set days and routines. See, as soon as my relationship moved into let's catch up this week, then it's become a little bit tenuous. But when we had like Tuesday and Thursday at noon, you know, we're going to read for an hour, we're going to do that. It was like firing on all cylinders. Now it's like, are you free? No, I'm not free. Oh, can I try it tomorrow? And it's like, but yeah, so routine for me is the best one. Anyone else on sponsorship or anything, any other questions? Must be questions. I'm trying to think of one myself. Frankie, have you got, or Suzanne? Frankie, you think of a question as well.
Of course, Suzanne.
All right, my question is, why is it only a might that these workshops will be going next year and not a definite? That's my question. Because I think they're
Say
great.
that again, didn't hear you, Suzanne.
Why is it only a might that these workshops will happen next year and not a definite? Because I think they're great, these workshops. I love them. I love the interactiveness. I love the questions. I love everything about it. It's just, this is the sort of thing that fires me up. It's because it's two-way. It's brilliant.
I think Paul will jump in straight after me. We've done 12 of them. We keep them on a YouTube channel for anyone to look at. It's a year. We're the only kind of guys who are doing it. I've not long moved house this year. We're just trying to, how could I put it? Have a break, trying to think of something new, really. I personally want to evolve. That's all. I like the interactive format and I like us talking about anything. Sophie's now left, but I wish Sophie had said what she didn't want to say. I like that. I want people to, I don't care. For me, it's just about recovery and my fellowship's Narcotics Anonymous. I don't go elsewhere. I love NA, but I also feel that we can say what we want. And this is probably my exiting statement, if you like. In the 30 years I've been attending NA, I've lived through baby blues, I've lived through interaction, we've had the believers, we've had the white buffalo, we've had all these extremist groups come in, and I've seen them all come and go, and they've all had one thing in common. They're all trying to get people to get you to join the gang. And I'm just an NA member, and I believe we can say whatever we want. And I like that thing of, I've been on convention committees where people have told us not to swear, and it's like, you know, everywhere I scored, people sweared, you know. And I know it's not about the using; it's about the mindset of addiction. What I have to change. And before I hand over to Paul, if there's just one thing I can do from each recovery meeting is that if some person gets one thing or they think slightly different about their illness, addiction, or condition, brilliant, brilliant. We're moving forward, because life's about having fun. And that's what recovery's given me. It's given me freedom, not only from active addiction, but free to just live my life and really enjoy my life as best I can. I'm happier now than I've ever been. And the only regret I have is that I'm closer to 62, you know, so I kind of wish I'd had this feeling when I first got into recovery when I was 32, but I didn't. This is just where it's meant to be. So, yeah, and I'm really grateful. Thanks, Joe, for being on the journey. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody, for being on the journey. You know, Andy lives in the same vicinity as me, and we haven't met. You know, looking forward to what's coming through in 2023, you know. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. I can't think of anything funny to say. Go on, Paul, over to you.
Not funny, but I just think someone always used to say to me, you never know who you're inspiring. I'm glad you're inspired, Suzanne. And, you know, we've been doing this for, you know, well, I'm coming up for 1,000 days. I keep banging on it. You heard me say that last night. So 1,000 days of service. You know, we were this Clean and Serene group was doing 5 meetings a week at one point during the pandemic. We were doing a speaker jam every 2 weeks. We were having home group from home groups. We were inviting home group speaker jams from Happy Mondays or Harlem or all over the world, and we're doing all kinds of innovative things. And this is one of the best things we've done, I think, as a group. You know, the interactive workshops, thanks to Frankie, and I'm just kind of with him on that. You know, and just for myself, as life takes over, you know, I have to, you know, what is that one? Everything we think we know is up for revision, especially what we think we know about the truth. You know, just need to keep, but what I would say to anyone, you know, who is in their first, you know, who's looking for service, you know, who's in their first 12 months or whatever it is, in their first 90 days, like you are, you're 91 days now, Suzanne. It's like, pick up the baton, you know, there's nothing stopping you and the guys here getting involved, doing workshops. You know, it's not like Frankie's got the magic formula on how to do a workshop. We're just, you know, we just do it, just do stuff, you know, and people will support in any way we can. So that's all I would say on that.
Okay, and I'm going to have, this is my leaving statement.
It's like, this is dramatic.
I'm only interested in one thing, really, and that's the future. And there's the only one way we can get there, and that's together. How about that for an oracle moment? I'll forget that later. You need to write that down.
Okay. Okay,
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Shall we, thanks everyone for the contribution. It's amazing, isn't it? It's interactive. I love this. This is the we program, I think, in its purest essence. I love it, working together rather than going off and doing stuff alone. So where are we up, Matt? What do we do here? Is it a just for today moment? Into the oh, we've got we do recover. Would anyone like to take that one?
I'll do it, Paul.
Oh, Mary, good to see you. Yes, please do.
I'm Mary, I'm an addict. We do recover. When at the end of the road we find we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs, we all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative: either go on best we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts ever had this last choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a simple, spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Lovely to hear you. And we've got just for today, I believe. Joe.
Oh, thanks, Paul. It's been a really good meeting. I've really enjoyed it. I'm Joe, I'm an addict. Just for today, tell yourself. Just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I will have faith in someone in NA. who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a programme. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I will try to get a better perspective on my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe. And Margaret, I saw you had your hand up. Do you want to lead us out or close the meeting with the Serenity prayer?
Okay, thanks, Paul. I'm Margaret, I'm an addict.
Hi, Margaret.
Using the word God as we personally understand it. God, grant me
Grant me serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know
the
difference. Keep coming back.
Cheers.
Oh, blinding.
Oh, thank you.